My name is Chela Saya, and I'm a study abroad advisor at the University of Wisconsin-Stout in the Office of International Education. Although we're all working and studying in unusual circumstances, now is a good time to consider your options to study abroad as part of your education at UW-Stout. So today I'll be highlighting a program that is building on its success from its first year running in 2020. I'm very excited to have Terry Kohlmeyer, the faculty leading this program, here to speak about it, as well as two students, Lindsay and Brianna, to share their experiences when they went on the program in 2020. So let's jump in. On this program, you'll enjoy 11 days in Cozumel, Mexico from January 7th through the 17th. However, you should expect to complete coursework both before and after the trip, from January 4th through the 22nd. It is a 3-credit course for students who have a cumulative GPA of 2.0 or above and who have completed at least one semester at Stout. It's a great program for special education majors, early childhood education majors with a SPED concentration, and vocational rehabilitation programs. Professor Kohlmeyer, would you please share a little bit more about the program?
I'd be glad to, and I welcome you to Cozumel 2021. Last year, our trip was so successful that we are going again this year. The opportunities for students to work in a classroom with children and with adults is just amazing. What I would like you to know, a couple of key highlights are that you would be working 40 hours in a classroom, either and or with elementary, secondary students, or some students prefer to work with adults, and we have that available as well. So you would be working in schools directly with children. One of the wonderful things is that we can afford an opportunity for students to have a chance to work in an elementary classroom, or they can also work with secondary students. There's a little bit of work with families. So there's many experiences that happen. One of the primary responsibilities of our students is planning. So before we go down, we're going to have some online courses and prepare plans for primarily for the grade in which the student wants to work. You'll be preparing plans that you will actually be implementing once we get down to Cozumel. And we can work together collaboratively to get those plans together. And in addition, you're not required to speak Spanish. However, it certainly is helpful. And there were some students that received some Spanish credit for going down to Cozumel last year. So that's an option. But for those that don't speak Spanish, we do offer Spanish workshops with just some basic Spanish instruction. And you will pick up some Spanish and vocabulary when you're down there because you're going to be needing to use it. We have some wonderful excursions. Last year, and we're planning on doing this again this year, we took a wonderful day trip out snorkeling, and we happened upon some dolphins, and that was very exciting to see. We will be visiting some ruins and learning about the history of Cozumel, Mexico, which is part of the Yucatan Peninsula, and so there's a lot of Mayan influence. And we also had a wonderful ATV trip through the jungle. In addition, there is a pool at the hotel, and so we're able to come back from our full day of teaching and have a restful afternoon and then get back to planning and preparing for the next day. Our final visit and excursion is to an amazing eco park, which is fairly close to the hotel. And spending the day would allow students to just bask in the sun or perhaps observe dolphins. Going to a wonderful botanical garden is another option. So we have a lot of fun excursions planned. lots of time in classrooms, gaining experience working with children with disabilities and their families, and the staff also in Mexico, the teaching staff. So looking forward, hope you'll join us. It's an amazing opportunity. One last note, we do encourage vocational rehabilitation students to come on board. There is a Centro de Rehabilitación in Mexico, and in this particular area, they provide services to young children as well as older adults. So we encourage those majors to come on board and try out our study abroad program. Thank you. We hope you'll consider joining us this year.
Dr. Kohlmeyer, before I talk about the cost, could you share how you chose Cozumel as the destination?
Oh, yes. Well, actually, I had been working with schools in Puerto Vallarta, and we were introduced to a couple that works at the University of Quintana Roo, which is located in Cozumel, Mexico, and they invited us to come down several summers ago, where we were able to visit the schools. It seemed like a great location. While Cozumel is known for its tourism, it's also an area that is in great need of educational resources. So by going down to Cozumel, we're able to work with the teachers as well as the students and provide some modeling, providing some resources. The schools are very in need of resources, not just material resources, but even some instructional resources. So by going down there, we're providing lots of support for their school systems, and we're able to make a difference.
Thanks for that. Well, I know a big question for students often is the cost, and so I did want to provide a little bit more detail here. The total cost that you should expect is $3,800, which includes the program fee of $2,700 that covers tuition and fees, airfare, local transportation, accommodation, cultural events, and some meals. The total cost also includes estimated out-of-pocket expenses, such as airline baggage fees, meals on your own, and spending money for things like souvenirs. Finally, remember that we have a great section on our website called Finances, where you can learn about your options to use financial aid, apply for loans, and use scholarships and crowdfunding sites to finance your experience. So now that you've had a chance to hear from myself and Dr. Kohlmeyer, we're so happy to invite two students who actually went to Cozumel in January 2020, share their experiences. While I'll be asking them questions, I'll also share some photos that were taken while they were there. And in fact, the photo in my background is beautiful Cozumel as well. So to start off, Lindsay, what made you choose this program?
To be honest, it was very last minute for my decision. I was in advisement day with Dr. Kohlmeyer, and she asked me just a simple question: are you interested in traveling? And if I was adding on my special education. And of course I said yes. And it was just a very last minute decision, but I'm so thankful that I took on this opportunity, just to grow as like individually, but also to meet like new people and just study abroad.
Wow, that was very lucky. Brianna, what about you?
I never thought that I was gonna do something like this, and even when I came back, people were like, I remember you saying you can never do this. But I originally signed up with one of my friends. We were talking to a local principal, and they were telling us how nice it looks when someone comes in for an interview or on your resume to like get new experiences. And then this one came along and I thought it sounded really fun, so that's why I decided to join on it.
Well, actually, to stay with you, Brianna, my next question was actually, what would you say was the best part of the experience in terms of your academic or professional growth?
I liked seeing all the different schools and how they did different things, and I could gain knowledge to bring back to my future classroom on different ways to do things, and just learning about their culture and the way they do things was really cool.
What about you, Lindsay? What would you say was your biggest area of academic or professional growth?
I think my biggest thing was that it was a learning curve for all of us. So it was cool to see how we all collaborated and adapted to the circumstances that we were in with what like the schools had and what we brought, and just how we got to collaborate all together, because in the future we're going to have our personal collaborations with our other co-workers. So I think that was just cool just to kind of see it all happen, especially as a freshman. It was just cool to share a passion with everyone.
Absolutely. Lindsay, what would you say was your favorite place that you visited on the program? Not necessarily academically, but from all the different places that you went.
I honestly love traveling, so I thought it was all very cool and exciting to see. But I think my favorite part was when we went to Playa del Carmen, which we took a little ferry across the island, and we just got to go through different shops and just kind of hang out at the beach. So that was fun.
I love Playa del Carmen. Brianna, what about you?
I would have to say my favorite thing we did was we visited a school called Cam Laboral, which was the adult school, and they had a super cool environment there. They were super excited to have us there, and one thing that really stuck out, that they had incorporated so much fun into their school days all the time. At lunch, they would have speakers out at the lunch tables, and they would all just be dancing and having a great time together. And that was really cool to watch.
That sounds like it would be a good, I could use that right about now. Okay, my next question was maybe back to you, Lindsay. For many students, going on a program like this means their first time on a plane, or maybe their first time outside the Midwest. So I wanted to ask, was that your experience, and what advice you might have for other students?
That was not my first time out. I've traveled to different countries. I've actually been to Cozumel, so that was kind of cool to go back there. But I would say like my best advice is, one, to pack light, because you don't go through as many clothes as you think. And just kind of like enjoy the experience. Everyone's in the same boat or in the same position. And just stay calm and, like I said, enjoy the experience.
What about you, Brianna?
So I've been on a plane multiple times before and also traveled a few different places. I had similar advice as Lindsay, that you guys are all doing it together. Everyone, there was a few people on this trip that it was their first time flying. And so we just sat next to, if they hadn't been on a plane, they sat next to someone who had been on a plane, and they just talked to each other, got to know each other on the program, as most of us didn't know each other going to it. And everyone's there for you on the trip, so okay.
It sounded like you had a really good group, so that's nice to hear. I know that another concern that students often have is regarding cost. They might feel that they can't afford a program like this. So Brianna, do you have any tips that you'd share?
Yeah, I would definitely take advantage of applying for the study abroad scholarships. And I know if you go in and talk to your financial advisor, they will be super helpful in helping you plan for it and using financial aid or getting scholarships and grants. If you can eligible for a grant and stuff like that, they're super helpful. And just if you know you want to go on one, if you can save a little bit before, but there's many ways that you can go. So I would definitely go.
Thanks. And what about you, Lindsay?
I had similar notes written down about that as well. like I said, I was very last minute, so I didn't have time to save, and it was just kind of a quick turnaround for financial aid and loans and all that. But the financial aid is super supportive and guides you through everything and just really helps you out through your experience.
Well, that's really good to hear. Well, the last question I have for both of you is just something lighter. Lindsay, could you share, is there anything funny or a meaningful experience that you had personally that you'd be willing to share?
I think the whole trip was super meaningful, and it definitely has like impacted my future and what I'm going to bring into my future classroom. But I think one of my favorite parts was just connecting with people that I've never met before and just kind of sharing our passion to help young children in schools. My favorite memory was when we went ATVing through the jungle, and Brianna and I were on the same ATV, and we were just laughing and having such a good time the whole time. And everyone else was doing the same. So it was just really fun to see us all kind of let go and have a good time.
Oh, that sounds really fun. What about you, Brianna?
I also thought the whole trip was a great experience. We did so many different things. I was gonna hit on the ATV ride. That was a lot of fun. As I said, Cam Laborel earlier, that was a super cool experience, something I'll never forget. And I just like the friendships I'm bringing back with me. I met Lindsay at the airport the morning we were going, and she's now one of my best friends. So it's super cool. You meet a lot of cool people.
It sounded like both the experience that you had as a group and then also both of those things were great. So that's really nice to hear. Professor Kohlmeyer, I wanted to give you the last word. Although we just heard from Lindsay and Brianna that the 2020 inaugural program, really was very successful. Is there anything that you're planning to do differently in 2020 to improve on the program even further?
Well, one of the things that we learned is that it's going to be super important that we plan collaboratively. This past year, even though students had requested a certain age group to work with in the schools, they also wanted to have an opportunity to visit the Center for Rehabilitation, and they really enjoyed the idea of visiting the Montessori school. And so trying to provide them with as many opportunities as possible is important. But I also know that there was a bit of a struggle with planning. So we've scheduled time before we go down where we can plan lessons that are appropriate, as well as collect materials and resources that we can take down. And doing that as a group rather than individually as they did last year will be more supportive and for all students, regardless of what age group they work with. So that's our plan, is to be more mindful in terms of planning the lessons ahead of time, but doing it more collaboratively so that we can share resources and also provide as many experiences as possible for the students in the CAM schools. So I think that's one of our primary changes. Otherwise, the excursions were very well received. We are going to have a little bit of a shorter time down in Cozumel. We have an individual who provides transportation for us to the various excursion sites as well as to schools every day. It's quite safe. And we had some time to have some meals as a group. And I think I'm going to continue to provide those group meals so that we will share. One thing I found out about this group is that we ate together, we shared together, we had breakfast together, we swam together. We became a very close group because we didn't go off on our own, so to speak. Most of the time we were together, be it reflecting at the end of the day by the pool, or having breakfast in the morning as a group. The hotel was very accommodating and very welcoming, and overall it was a fabulous experience, and I'm very excited and looking forward to 2021.
Well, it sounds wonderful. I think that's all the time that we have, but thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Kohlmeyer, Lindsay, Brianna, and all of you viewers. And please learn more and apply by going to uwstout.edu/study abroad. Thank you.
Thank you.